Hello, everyone. Really nice that so many people showed up. My name is Linda Stark. I'm one of the Agile coaches of eDreams.io. We are the blue ones. There are some more of us, my colleagues here up front. We have iterated a bit on the title of the talk, and I think this title fits better than the one in the agenda for showing the core of the talk. Okay? So,
My name, hello, can you hear me? Hello? Yeah, now. So my name is Nacho Ortega. I'm also an Agile coach in eDreams.io. Before starting the talk, I would like to just show you that we have there a box. It's for feedback. If you would like to write some feedback there, you could do it there or even in Slido. That's up to you. So, well, we are here for talking about how we are scaling continuous improvement mindset and making it stick within our organization. So before starting, I would like to ask you a few questions. The first one, which one of you has been involved in any continuous improvement session so far, like a retrospective? Recently, okay? Many of you. That's not bad. So please keep your hands up, and keep the hands up if you are an Agile coach or a Scrum Master. No, sorry. Now, the other thing around. Keep your hands up if you are not a Scrum Master or an Agile coach. Great. So when we had this dream, we were looking for people like you. So that was our way of trying to escalate this continuous improvement mindset. So I have a dream. Let's imagine a whole organization where everyone is passionate about learning how to improve their way of working, how to improve their tools, how to improve their practices, how to improve their product. So that was our idea at the beginning of this journey. So when we had this dream, we were so far from that. We were around 8 coaches. Each one of us has had 3 teams assigned, more or less 3 teams. So that was around 25 teams covered that we were helping. But in IT, we had 50. So that means 50% of the IT teams were not receiving any support from a coach. So we had a challenge there. And what was the challenge? We continuously asking for support and help. And our idea was trying to get that momentum and use that momentum for our benefit. So the only way that we found in that moment was escalate this way of working. But to be able to escalate this way of working, the thing that we had to do is try to freezing up some capacity that we had. So currently, we are still in that journey. We didn't achieve the goal. We are on the way. Sorry. So how we can empower the teams to achieve this continuous improvement mindset? The first idea that we have is, okay, let's think about, the guys have to own their own continuous improvement. But own their own continuous improvement means also be responsible for having that continuous improvement mindset. So if we are able to do that, we had the hypothesis of that, and if we were going to be able to do that, we were going to freezing up capacity for helping the others. As I said at the beginning, we were just covering 50% of the teams that we had in IT. Also, having that thing in place, we're going to make us grow as professionals because we were facing new problems, new situations, we were facing new challenges, but also we were helping the team members by offering them another possibility of growing. They were spotting their talent. they were having a lot of diversity of idea where they were facilitating this type of sessions. Also, some guys from one team could support another team and the other team around. So that was supporting and improving their mentality. So
let's do another raise of hands. Has anyone here tried something similar to teach the teams how to facilitate and own their own retrospectives so that you could use your capacity with other things? Cool, I see many hands. And I'm so excited and eager to hear your stories and what has worked well for you and what hasn't. Really looking forward to the Q&A where we can have a discussion. So, how could we create ownership within the teams? We had a plan, and we went through with our plan. It was kind of a rollout, sadly, but that's where we were 3 years ago. We taught the teams how to facilitate retros, and general tips and tricks on facilitation, how to have the silent people in the room heard, and other techniques that we use in a day-to-day basis. Mm-hmm. We gave them material with ideas for many different ways of doing retros. I think in the kit we created, we had 15 different retros and different warm-ups and general tips and tricks for them to have as a handbook. We didn't want to forget the metrics part, the data, which we were doing for the teams at this point. So we taught them how to extract the lean metrics, like the throughput, the cycle time, the flow efficiency, how to analyze that data and come up with conclusions and actions. We also did some general trainings with them around risk profiling, user story splitting, and other trainings depending on the needs of the team. So, sounded like a good idea, we thought. What could go wrong? Learnings. The hardest thing to hand over was the mindset. The tools was really easy. It's not rocket science to extract and review metrics, but the ownership and the mindset was the most difficult thing. To understand the why we do different things, to have the agility mindset, and specifically to have it owned by the team, and not having it seen as this is something that belongs to the Agile coaches, and then the Agile coaches come and give us advice on or ask us what to do. In the end, it took about a year for this shift in mindset and ownership to happen within the teams from when we started. In the beginning, they were complaining, and there was not my job mentality. Well, it's natural. We gave them more things to do. But at the same time, we try to motivate them and say, think of the T-shaped engineer. We are giving you skills. We are giving you new experiences. This is an opportunity for you guys to grow. And also to spot talent. There might be amazing facilitators in the team who hasn't tried facilitating, so they don't know yet that they are amazing at it. And another learning is that some teams did become complacent. We are already so good, our processes work really well, we don't need to do retrospectives. And some teams, especially when they were under pressure from a deadline or from management, they deprioritized the retro sessions and continuous improvement, and they didn't pick it up again. So this was happening in some teams, but not all. And at the end of that year, all the 25 teams we had been working with, they owned it. It was amazing. It freed up our capacity so that we can go and start working with the other 25 teams who were screaming for our attention. So I put our learnings in a graphical form. On the x-axis is the value that the teams get out of the retrospective. And here we have the time. When we were facilitating, before we did this transformation, they got value out of the retros. I think we were doing a pretty good job as facilitators. When we handed over, naturally, the value and the quality sank. It dropped quite much because they were not used to facilitating and they didn't have all the knowledge yet that they needed. But with our help and coaching and mentoring, and with the kit and material we gave them, they quickly improved. Then came a danger zone, where we had bad behaviors, we had complacency and other things, and this is where some teams even stopped doing continuous improvement. If they managed to get through that danger zone, then again, they started improving, having more varied retros, being really passionate about retros, and some of the teams are doing even more amazing retros now than when I was facilitating for them. Because in the team, they have different views, experiences, and ideas on what they want to bring up in a retro, instead of it just coming from my head. And also, since the team members are working with the team full time, they know more than me, who has to spread my time over 3 teams. What are the pain points, the bad smells that they want to assess in the team? So they were better than me in picking the topic of the retro. Is it time for a metrics review, something more emotional to vent, or more data-driven look at our processes? So what happened in this danger zone? They were having the same format. That's a bad smell. Well, these are the bad smells to detect if the team is currently in the danger zone and needs some Agile coach, tender love. Same format is a bad smell, doing the same thing the whole time. Because then when you attack a problem only from one side, one way of thinking, you don't get the diversity than if you use different approaches. Also, many teams in the danger zone are using the same facilitator every time. Then that person doesn't contribute as much to the discussions because he or she is busy facilitating. And also you don't get the variety of formats if it all comes from one person. They had just replaced me. The retros in the danger zone could be quite boring because they have the same format. And bringing low value for them. And when it's boring and bringing low value, it's easy to deprioritize it when you're under stress, right? And few or no new actions coming out of the retro. The thing is, when the teams entered the danger zone, it took a while for us to find out. Because we had already started working with a new team, with new challenges, which was exciting for us, because that helped us grow as professionals. So we were focusing on the new teams, and it took a while before we noticed it. Uh-oh, we thought, this isn't good. Let's check what's actually the status of the teams, what are they doing? How can we measure and detect if they need us, or if they're doing great on their own? Oh, sorry, last one also, complacency. Mm-hmm. I'm going a little bit ahead now. So what do we need to do when they're in the danger zone? We want to reignite the excitement of the team, to make them passionate again, to inspire, to give them new materials, inspiration, ideas, maybe give them more tools that they weren't aware of. We were using the other teams to cross-pollinate and say, oh, guys, have you seen what those guys over there are doing? For them, it works really well. And also to just talk to them, mentor them, give them general advice. So to light the flame in the room again about retros. So we had the need to measure. Even if you're in another room or another part of the building, it's good to be aware how cold it is in the kitchen, so it's not freezing. So we asked the teams, are you reflecting periodically around both your process and your product? Doing, for example, retros or reviewing metrics or your KPIs? We asked them, are you doing 2 or more continuous improvement sessions or reflections within the last 5 weeks. That would mean a monthly cadence or more often. Have you gotten actions out of it? Improvement actions. Did you actually do those actions? Here, surprisingly, many say no. And did you follow up on them? When we asked the teams these questions, we got a really good indicator on whether they needed some tender agile love, or if we could continue focusing on the new teams, knowing that we're doing good with the retros. Because very often the teams, they didn't come calling on us. They didn't come and say, oh, Linda, retros are boring, can you help me? Sometimes they did, but often not. So I really recommend you measure. Let me give you an example. This is one of the teams who are now doing amazing retrospectives on their own without any Agile code support at all. They are doing better retros now than they were when I was facilitating it for them and owning it. They were early adopters and quite excited about Agile in general. They have now evolved the retros, coming up with new ideas, and they have found some really cool warm-ups and have also adjusted retro themes and come up with new things, customized for their team, with a little bit of fun and recognition for the different roles in the team. And then they came and showed it to me. Hey, Linda, we did this. It was really, really good to teach me about it. I loved it when that happened. I was like, I love you guys. They took all their metrics and KPIs and data, printed it, and put it up in a small booth. So to be aware of their situation. And the whole team reviews all those metrics and KPIs together, not only the PO, weekly. And for some of them, where that doesn't make sense, bi-weekly, getting actions out of it. And this totally came from them, not from me. And that was also really inspiring, because then I could tell the other teams, hey guys, have you seen what the lodging legends are doing? That's amazing. And they got inspired, and then it started to spread. On the more fun side, they created a flag that they hung up in front of the board, not only creating a logo like all the other teams have. And next to the board, they have an area for cool things to share that could be interesting for other teams, things that have worked well for them. So today, the status in IT is that we have engaged and worked with all the 50 teams. No team in IT is left alone anymore. All the teams, well, more or less, there's always one or two exceptions, right? And some new teams. Basically all the teams are doing varied retrospectives every 2 to 4 weeks on their own. They get actions out of it that they follow up. They facilitate all their own ceremonies and meetings. On their own, they extract and review the KPIs and lean metrics, discuss them as a group, and take actions out of it. And the teams, every team needs less than 1 hour of Agile coach time a week. Some of them 15 minutes or less. So that's the status today in IT. Great. We have reached our goal in IT. It was amazing. We had freed up our capacity as Agile coaches so that we now could lift the gaze and start thinking about strategy. Sitting down together, the Agile coaches thinking, with the input from strategy, from IT, from senior leaders, what can we do to have the biggest impact in the company the next 3 months? One of the things we came up with was to integrate GitOps much closer to the teams, into the areas, instead of it being a separate silo. That is now done. It also gave us capacity to start working with the non-IT teams, like social media, CRM. data science team. So then we asked ourselves, how can we reconnect with our dream and start to spread continuous improvement all over the organization? Not only in IT, where it is right now. And with the teams, we are starting to engage outside of our team. And then we saw an amazing retrospective kit that Spotify had put together. Start doing retros on your own. Ooh, that looked really cool. Let's make our own personalized version of that. So we created a retro kit. Do it yourself. With instructions, easy, simple instructions, with the steps in a retrospective, a little bit of facilitation tips and tricks, good advice in general, and 3 types of retros with recipe instructions and time boxes and everything. This is how you can do your retrospective. Sounds like an amazing idea. What could possibly go wrong? Crash and burn, totally failed. We discovered we had given them tools, but no mindset. They didn't understand the why behind the things that we do normally in retros, the steps, the techniques. That meant they were cutting corners. When it was super clear and clearly written in the kit, please don't book less than an hour and a half for the first retro. We recommend 2, at least. They booked 1 hour. Well, sorry. When we piloted this, we gave the kit to some pilot teams and said, cool, book your first session, please, and invite me so that I can come and observe. Not interacting in any way, just sitting there in the room, listening like a fly on the wall. So we saw they were cutting corners, which meant they had not enough time to converge, to get to any actions. They just identified the problems and didn't have time to get to the actions, and it was really stressed. It was badly facilitators. The silent people in the room did not speak up, and other, general basic facilitation things. The manager normally booked it, facilitated it, and talked more than 50% of the time, and totally dominated in the room. And bear in mind, these are non-IT teams who have never heard of a retrospective, never of Agile. Okay? Traditional waterfall mindset, often. We detected there was blaming culture in the retrospective, and a low psychological safety. That's on the part of what we observed of the interactions in the room. About the outcomes, the problems they identified were huge and many. Of course, the first time you lift the carpet and look underneath, it's quite dusty under there, right? They didn't think in the sense of what can we achieve in a month, what can we achieve in 2 months. They just jumped right on the big problems that would take a year to solve, maybe. They had a hard time identifying which actions are good actions, focusing on outcome and not jumping into the solution space immediately. And they didn't have any experimental mindset. It was designing the final perfect solution and rolling it out. The actions they got out of it was huge, super big. Like one action would take at least 3 months if you're working actively on it. Which of course meant they didn't follow up, they didn't really do the actions, and they never did a retrospective again. And then they could say, hey, I tried this thing Agile, didn't work. Which is even worse, giving us a bad rumor. So we detected that for teams that begin from scratch, who has never been in a retro that was well facilitated, had a second danger zone, where the things happen that I just explained in the previous slide. So what do we need to do then to help them overcome that? to help to demonstrate the value for them, because they didn't get any value of it when they did themselves, and to help them to have psychological safety in the room as well as we can, and to establish that, and to show them instead of giving them something to read, explaining the why behind. So we pivoted and said, okay, here you have the material, please book a retrospective of 2 hours and invite an Agile coach that will facilitate it for you. So then we came and facilitated the first retrospective, doing everything super by the book, with the warm-up, with zoom out, Rotti at the end, everything, and dot voting, and explaining the why. Why do we dot vote? Because we want to make sure that we cover the most important topics, and the ones we don't have time for, if they're really important, they will pop up again the next time. It's about prioritization. They like that word. So the new approach was invite the Agile coach and then hand them the kit. That worked. And the teams we have done it with are now continuing to do monthly retrospectives without our help, and they love it. So this is a good option when you can't fully engage with the team, take it through the Agile journey, make them mature, and then move on, but just need something lightweight. When you want to help them, but not spend a lot of your time with them. So this actually enables, the retro kit and this approach enables us to roll out continuous improvement all over the company without taking up all of our capacity. We have begun that journey. We have done it with some teams, but still we have a long way to go. And I'm sure there will be even more learnings. So another way to see this is, say that I have a really, really good recipe for buffalo cauliflower vegan tacos. And I think that Nacho would really like that recipe, but he has never tasted it. If I just chat with him over a coffee, hey, Nacho, by the way, I have a super recipe, you're going to love it. I give it to him. He will say, oh, cool, thanks, Linda, I will try it. And nod politely. And he will probably not do it. But if I cook it, and I say, hey, Nacho, taste this. I really like this one. Taste it, what do you think? And he's like, oh, that's amazing. How do you do it? Well, the secret is those ingredients, and bam, 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 explaining a little bit of the behind mindset. And then when he almost begs me for the recipe, I give it to him, then it has a much bigger probability to stick, right? So when we want to encourage someone to do something that we think they will like, that we think will be good for them, but that they don't know the value yet, we want to give them the chef experience. Or take them to a really good restaurant trying it. Because if we just hand them a recipe and they cook it themselves, probably they will cut some corners, skip some ingredients, it won't be really good, it won't stick. So facilitate the first retro.
Go.
Oh, yeah, sorry. So our overall situation today, where we are today, is that all the teams that we have engaged and actively worked with, and then empowered and stepped back, own their agility and own their processes. They come to us sometimes, but mostly asking for advice, but not that much. We have been able to scale the continuous improvement mindset. Now we have it in all of our IT, and we are beginning. And we have already gone a little bit beyond IT and continuing with that. We are focusing on our Agile strategies for the first time. We didn't have time to do it before.
Thank you. So what can I say now? Yes, we can. We are not still there, but we can be there. And our dream is still our dream. So now I would like to summarize with you the learnings that we have had on that journey. The first one is, please, empower your team. They should do their continuous improvement sessions. It's better for everyone. It's not just better for the team members. it's better for the coaches, and it's better for the company. Be aware of the 2 danger zones that we mentioned before, and measure that danger zones to be able to jump into the teams if they need it. As we say, sometimes they are not going to come back to you. Probably you have already heard this sentence. It's all about mindset. And we suffered. We thought that we had the right mindset, but we didn't have it. And gamify and encourage the guys to do it. Don't roll out and force them to do the thing if they don't want to do it. So be a tasting chef in the beginning. So here we have a really good example about the way of doing things from an holistic and scaling this way of doing things. We call this every team, every metric, every week. How we are doing it is a gamification tool that we are using in eDreams. So for being able to get the award and being able to be on the wall of fame that we have on the entrance of the company and have you sealed there and on the wall, the guys have to do, they have to identify their own KPIs and metrics. Everyone in the team has to review the metrics and the KPIs. They have to define the cadences of revisions. They have to have actions based on that KPIs, because they are reducing the cadency of revision, and they are actually looking for actions for improving the situation that they have. And also, they have to make it visible. It's not just for the team. It's also for encourage the other ones around for doing it. So, and the most important thing is like, have a lot of fun doing it. It's like, why we are not going to enjoy doing our work? So yes, we have a dream, and the dream is still there. We are much closer now. As we say, almost the IT teams are having the situation that we thought at the beginning, but now we are jumping into the non-IT teams, and also focusing in some strategies that, as Linda said, we consider that are important for our organization currently. So here also we are trying to share this experience with you, but also receive your feedback and the experience that many of you say that you are dealing with also. And we are looking for more capacity. So if someone is thinking about joining us, please let us know, because we are looking for another coach. So any question?
Not only coaches. I think we have 100 vacancies right now we're trying to fill.
Hello. Yeah. Well, first of all, great talk. Thanks for sharing. I have a question about, I don't know if you guys have some similar situation about a team having some personal issues, because usually it sounds like a good idea that it could be some Agile coach, Scrum Master, you name it, and give this external and objective point of view. So I don't know if you had to deal with some situation similar.
All the teams have an Agile coach that is their point of contact. And I am the first point of contact for around 7 IT teams right now. If they have conflicts, they do arise in teams. I attended a great cast talk about it yesterday. Well, for me, it's a bit business as usual. If they have a problem with that, they come calling on me, and I try to do my best to help them resolve that conflict if they're not able to do it themselves. I don't see, it is not so related with whether they own their continuous improvement or not, for me. It could be a catalyst. The continuous improvement sessions could be a catalyst that creates those situations. And if we're lucky, the conflicts could be something that we have already seen or dealt with before, or can have good advice to help them resolve it. Otherwise, it's just trying to help them the old-fashioned way. And sometimes that happens, of course. And sometimes the teams have problems, they have doubts, they can call on me. I spend 3 days with them, and then I can probably shift my focus back again.
Yeah. And also, on top of that, it's like we are working, the Agile coaches, as a team, but we are together just one day per week. The other 4 days, we are integrated within the areas where we are working with. So we are observing them, they are coming to us, so we are one of them. We are not an external provider, we are one of them. That's really important for identifying and smell these type of things before becoming a problem.
Each of us sits on the floor where their 6 to 10 teams are. Yeah. So it's only a 50-meter walk for them to come over and say, hey, Linda, by the way. And that has really helped the communication. Before all the Agile coaches sat together on one floor, and we saw that then we don't have the smell in the air of what's happening with our teams. So sitting next to them 4 days a week really helps.
So do we have time for another question? Santi? One more. Just remember, guys, we have there the feedback box. If you have something to say to us, please write something there or write a comment in Slido, please.
And if you have any questions or want to discuss or share your learnings with us, just pick any of us with this blue hoodie, okay?
Okay, my question is, did you experience that the facilitators, they newly learned it, so that they had struggles with staying neutral with their teams within the retro? How did you manage that?
Some of them struggled a bit, some of them just took it on really quickly. We gave them quite detailed instructions also, with a bunch of tips and tricks on facilitation. And we also did a general, the handover the facilitation and retros was actually a full-hour training that we did with them. We went through all the mindset behind the tools and facilitation tips and tricks, and trying to make it a little bit fun also, showing anti-patterns. So they didn't struggle so much with that. I think that maybe half my teams came afterwards and said, hey, Linda, this situation arose. How could I have dealt with that better? And I could give some additional advice. But doing a training with them and gamifying it and showing anti-patterns in a fun way really helped with that. We have also a separate training on facilitation and stuff for distributed teams.
Thank you.
So I think I could answer the question later on. Otherwise, they are going to kill me. So thank you, everyone.